The Black Castle. This is a story that took place in a small village where people lived peaceful, ordinary lives. Outside of this village stood an old black castle that had been abandoned for many years. The villagers were always afraid of the castle and never dared to go near it. They said that it was haunted by ghosts and spirits, and anyone who ever entered never came back. In this village lived a fearless young man named Amit. He never took such stories seriously and considered them as rumors. One day during the festival time in the village, Amit decided to get to the bottom of the truth regarding the Black Castle. Whatever tales he had heard from villagers, he wanted to see for himself. He chose the night for his venture, knowing that it was when the castle's terrifying stories seemed to come alive. A strange chill of air greeted him as Amit approached the castle. The doors were rusted, but Amit somehow opened them. As soon as he did, a cold gust of wind blew into his face, and he stepped into the darkness. Amit turned on his flashlight and entered the castle. The atmosphere inside was even more frightening. Old paintings hung on the walls, some with faces deliberately erased. A strange noise echoed from the ceiling, but there was no fan in sight. As he moved through a large hall, suddenly the door behind him slammed shut, and he felt he was no longer alone in the castle. A deep voice echoed from the shadows. "You made a mistake by coming here. Now there is no way out for you." Instead of running, Amit decided to move toward the voice. The light of his flashlight started to quiver, as if being swallowed by darkness. Suddenly he saw a broad staircase that went upstairs. Rightfully more and more scared by the moment, he reached a decision to climb it. He came upon an old door at the top and opened it. The sight he met was quite ghastly. The walls were full of bloodstains and the floor littered with bones. Suddenly, his eyes fell upon a very big old mirror. As he peered deep into it, he could not see his reflection, instead the face of a disfigured figure. Disbelieving his eyes, Amit drew closer to the mirror. A hand suddenly thrust out of the glass and grasped him in its clutches. He shrieked, but in no time, he was sucked inside the mirror. He fell on the ground with no one to save him. The figures in the mirror started dragging him deep inside the dark reflection. Just then, he was startled by a loud voice and turned around. An old woman stood before him, her face contorted in a menacing smile. She spoke, "You have entered our world. Now you will become one of us." Amit's heart was beating in his chest. He asked the woman, "Who are you? What is happening here?" The old woman laughed darkly and said, "We are those who have been kept in this castle since years. Whoever enters just like you never goes back. Now it is your turn." And immediately a cold, paralyzing fear coursed through Amit's body. His hands and feet started to numb, and it sounded like his voice was choking. The darkness around him seemed deeper and more suffocating. He could only manage a final scream, which echoed through the walls of the castle. Hours later, the villagers found Amit's bike near the castle, but there was no sign of him. Days passed, and Amit was never to be seen again. The villagers now realized that he had become yet another part of the terrifying history of the Black Castle. Even today, anyone passing near the castle can hear eerie screams coming from inside. People say that many restless spirits still linger within the castle, waiting for others to